Welcome to Rogers Viewers from Home. My name's Theresa Fraser, and you have tuned in to Health Matters. I am going to be hosting a series of shows on mental wellness across the developmental lifespan, and our show, the subtitle of our show is entitled Changing Steps. So a little bit about me. So I am a registered psychotherapist in the province of Ontario and a certified child psychotherapist, play therapist, but my passion, my heart begins with the first part of learning I did in post-secondary education, which is as a child and youth care practitioner. So I'm a member of the board of the Ontario Association of Child and Youth Care Practitioners, and child and youth care practitioners work in schools, hospitals, jails, community settings. Have I missed any, Dr. Mary? Residences, foster homes. And so my learning began in those venues and then carried on. And in my own PhD research, I'm researching play therapy approaches with isolated senior citizens, which when I tell people about that, they go, what? You could use play therapy with seniors? But honestly, that's another show, and I hope you tune in later. Today, we are so privileged to have Dr. Mary Ventrella in the studio. And Dr. Mary Ventrella, she has many passions, and we have, you'll notice after watching us interact that we do know each other quite well and have had the privilege of working together in different settings. So Mary, one of her passions is utilizing mindfulness. And given the theme of this show overall is wellness throughout the lifespan, mindfulness is something that you can't open a newspaper or turn the radio on or watch a television show without someone talking about just breathe. What's that? There's a song that's just breathe. I have kids.
Elmo.
Elmo.
Yes.
If you ever get a chance, even if you don't have children, go on YouTube and search up Belly Breathe with Elmo, and it's with two singers, and it's just beautiful. But it really does teach you know, why is it so important? And we breathe without even thinking, it's automatic, but breathing in terms of really taking the time to pause and be present with what we're experiencing is a skill we often don't teach our children in school. And it's not because we just do it without even thinking. So I said to Mary, Dr. Ventrella, will you please come and talk with us about your passion in regards to mindfulness? Because I've seen her utilize mindfulness with children and adolescents and with post-secondary education students, but her passion also is using mindfulness with organizations. Yeah. So Mary, I'm not going to introduce you. You can talk about all the wonderful things that I know about you.
Well, thank you,
please share it with our audience.
Well, like you said, my passion has always been, I'm also a child and youth worker, and my passion has always been interested in looking at wellness and how can we become more well with when I see children that I've worked with anxiety, depression, parents with depression, children struggling with everyday decisions. And sometimes the simplest thing we need to do is be present and allow that experience to happen, and we can discover that we can move through it and still make it through. And sometimes the most difficult part that we all struggle with is how do we be present without judgment and allow for that experience to just move through us.
Now, can I just stop you and back you up a minute, because you threw around some terms, depression, anxiety, and wellness or mindfulness doesn't have to be necessarily linked to having a diagnosis.
No,
right?
that's really important distinction.
Right.
We can use it to be well and to continue our wellness and allow you don't have to have a diagnosis. You can continue to make your life even more full than it already is. And I think that's what's wonderful about it.
And that's why I was so excited that you agreed to be on this segment, because mindfulness really is preventative, right? It's you got to fill your cup up every day with being in the here and the now.
Every moment, or
every
even
moment,
just sometimes 1 minute a day. Sometimes 1 minute a day to just be present is really challenging. So, for example, in my research, in my dissertation, we looked at doing mindfulness in corporations or even on teams, and it was really with the intention of productivity being even stronger than it already was in organizations. And I'm still getting emails after my research saying, you know, because of that mindfulness, our team's conflict have decreased. We're working better together. We're looking at creativity and the way we can work in an organization to pull out a product that's even more effective. And that came from the silence, the stillness, and being able to just sit with that mindfulness, which is really exciting.
Okay, so let's take it to maybe some of our viewers. I'm thinking I'm a viewer with 2 small kids, and I work 2 jobs, and my partner is working long hours, so I'm parenting pretty much independently. And it's dinner time, and the kids are screaming, and I forgot to get milk, or actually let's be honest, my partner forgot to get milk, and I haven't had time to go shopping, or maybe I really don't have enough money to get shopping done because it's Wednesday and I don't get paid till Friday, and I'm worried about getting to work on time tomorrow because they say there's going to be a snowstorm and I have to take public transportation. And just as I'm talking about it, my anxiety is getting bigger and bigger. But I have to do the dishes and make dinner, and I don't have time to go sit on a yoga mat or in my car or in my room because all that stuff's happening. What do I do?
Well, it's really interesting you say that, because anyone who's out there can identify with some of Theresa's story right now, because there's always, when you have children, you're a parent, or if you don't have children, there's always a list of things, of multiple things that are going on in our head. So, for example, one of the things that I do with my children just before dinner is we put our homework away, and my son will have difficult transitioning. So if there's a time of transition, sometimes I'll say to kids, okay, take 30 seconds, just take a deep breath, go wash your hands, really be present when you're washing, or go sit in your room, and then when you're ready to come back out, when you're able to hear, when you're able to be part of the conversation, when you're able to be with the whole family, that's really important. Another example that I'll say, this is a bit humorous, but I'll say to my son when they're about to argue or they have conflict, which is
that happens in your household?
every day,
oh my gosh.
with love, and I'll say to my younger one, you need to go into your room, and he's 8, which is really fascinating. I'll say, Michael, you need to go in your room and take 3 deep breaths and then come back. And this is the first time he ever did it, and this is the honest truth. He went, I'm done, and I'm still mad. And I said, okay. So you need to slow that breathing down. You need to sit, acknowledge that you're mad, and how are you going to be able to come back and speak with your family and your brother that's respectful. Another example is when I'm teaching, I'll sometimes say to my students, honor the conversation you're with, take 10 seconds, and come back to the whole group. And the feedback I've gotten is, I've never considered to end a conversation to move in an awareness and noticing when you transition to another story or another event in your life. And I don't know about you, but many children or adults that transition, we do it so often, but sometimes we don't take the time to look at what was the transition we were in, how do we flow from that and go into another transition in a way that we notice what's happening for us. We do it every day, and not always noticing.
You know, as a parent of special needs kids, and I'm sure a lot of our audience members can appreciate that, whether you have children with special needs or even parents with special needs, or you just have kids that struggle with moving from here to there, those transitional pieces, and I think sometimes in the educational system, it's a real joke because I do have special needs kids who, we get the call, Mrs. Fraser, Johnny's having a hard day today. Maybe he may be better coming home. And when you backtrack where the start of the challenges were, it's often those transitions. So in the school system, when you have some, it's really lovely to see educators or teachers' aides, child and youth care practitioners who can recognize, I need to give some kids some cues to bring them to the present and remind them that we're going to the next step.
Yeah, it's very, very important. It's important for them to have some control. It's important for them to start noticing their body and their relationship with their mind and their breath and their body, and allowing them to have that control to do that, empowering them to be aware of what's happening for them, and to give them the words. Some kids and adults don't always have the words to explain what's happening for themselves. And with that, we are walking around what I call mindless. And Dr. Ellen will say from Harvard University, she says, if you're not mindful, you're mindless. And that makes me think, how much of our day do we experience that we're walking around without noticing and being aware of what's happening for us?
Right. Yeah. I'm mindful now.
Did you notice your breath you just took? You just took a breath.
It is. I took a breath and went, because I'm mindful that soon we're going to be transitioning to the next segment, and I'm going to ask our viewers to stay with us, because when we come back, we're going to participate in a mindfulness activity.
Yeah, we'll do a body scan.
Before we do that break, if it would be really helpful for you to give, what do our viewers need to do when they come back?
Well, this is what's great about mindfulness. You can do it anywhere. So if you have a yoga mat, if you have a comfortable couch, a chair, what's important is that you have comfortable clothes and you're in a comfortable position. And only do it if your body allows you physically to be able to do it. You could do it anywhere, wherever you are currently. I hope you come back and you join us to do a body scan.
So, If you're in the middle of your living room, it can be on a ball, it can be in a chair. Have you ever done mindfulness activities on a bus?
Oh, goodness. We've done it on the bus. We've done it in the classroom. We've done it on chairs. We've done it on yoga balls. We have done it in the gym. I've worked with a young lady who was anxious before her gym. She's a gymnast before performing. And to do mindfulness on her mat just before, as there's all people around you. I've done it in the car with the kids. I've done it at group homes, in organizations, in a boardroom. That's what's magical. One of my greatest inspirations and friends, Julie, would say to me, lineups are an opportunity to be mindful. So you can truly do it anywhere you are, and that's what's great about it, exciting, that you don't need heavy equipment or you don't need to, take your time. Now, I practice 30 minutes in the morning and I try to do 15 minutes before bed, and I have a sacred place, but only so that people around me know that's my time and that's my place. So it's really up to you. You could do it in the chair that you're sitting in or the couch you're on right now, or you can get in a comfortable position. I've had some clients say to me, I like to be on my yoga mat with a blanket and want to be warm. Whatever is important for you.
Okay, so we have about a minute before we go to break, and you use the word sacred, and we haven't talked about that because, and I think it's important to kind of reach back quickly and talk about that, because some folks have the impression that mindfulness practices are affiliated with a specific religion.
Well, there is a connection between Buddhism and mindfulness. This has been being practiced in many, many different religions for centuries. But you do not have to be a practice of faith to implement mindfulness in your day. Remember, mindfulness is being in the moment, practicing without judgment, observing your thoughts, and connecting with your breath. So if you can do that, it doesn't mean it has to be connected to a spiritual god or goddess or spirit. It could be that you're connecting to self. And many of the people I work with do not want it affiliated with spirituality, but want it connected to themselves. And I think that's what's important.
Okay, thank you so much. So being in this moment, we're going to invite our viewers to choose a place wherever they are in their home, and come back after break, and we're going to all together experience a mindfulness moment. Thank you. Hello, welcome back to Health Matters with Changing Steps. My name is Theresa Fraser. I'm here with Dr. Mary Ventrella, and if you're just tuning in now, our first segment we talked about, what is mindfulness and how does it fit in with wellness across the lifespan? And Dr. Ventrella was talking about how in implementing mindfulness practices in our daily life don't have to involve lots of time, don't have to involve special places necessarily, and mindfulness activities aren't affiliated to directly to a spiritual faith group necessarily, although mindfulness practices are...
Some people practice with it and use it as part of their prayer, as part of connecting to spirituality.
Right. So Dr. Ventrella, we are so blessed to have her here in the studio because she's well known for this passion, and she's agreed to lead us in a mindfulness activity. So I'm going to take it over to you. And I'm going to practice too.
Great.
Well, absolutely.
You have to be part of the process.
Okay.
So I think what's important is you get in a comfortable position. Okay. And if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes or you can keep your eyes open. I usually start with a body scan. This is usually called a body scan, and it's just to become aware of your breath and feeling where you feel your breath. and observing your thoughts. So Theresa, when you're sitting with it, have a moment to feel your energy. Where do you feel your breath? Is it a short breath? Are you able to breathe right down to your belly? And just observe that and feel it. So I will take you through it. So if you'd like to close your eyes, I usually have my hands up. I usually sit in a position that's comfortable. So when you're sitting here, feel your feet touching the ground. Feel your hands where they're placed. And maybe even just close your eyes and take a deep breath and notice your breath. Where does it start? You might feel the air in your nostril right to your throat, to your chest and belly. And as you exhale, feel your breath escalating out. And if your mind starts to wander to your to-do list or...
It did.
That's
That's exactly where it went.
And I'm glad you said that, because that happens very frequently. It happens to me frequently. And when that happens, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means you need to go back and reconnect with your breath. And that's okay.
So it's almost like you have to reinvest.
It's just reinvest.
I'm here just to do this
And
again.
I'm just here.
Okay.
So connect. So let's just do a quick body scan just for time's sake. As you're noticing this area, make sure you connect with your breath and stay present with your breath. Notice your spine from the top all the way down to your bottom as you connect with your breath. Allow yourself to just sit there and be present. Notice whatever sensations or thoughts or emotions that come up, just allow them to come up without judgment. You're simply noticing what's happening for you. Feel your knees all the way down to the front and back of your lower leg. Simply notice any sensations. You might feel tingling or warmth or coldness or stiffness or simply relaxation. Just simply notice. And the next part is simply notice your ankles and your feet. With each breath that you take, you're becoming more aware of your body and your breath. Notice your hands. Are they tense? Are they warm? Are they cold? Just simply notice. If your mind starts to wander, just simply come back and allow yourself to be in this space. Do not judge, but simply be present.
So, what if I notice I'm really angry, or I'm frustrated, or, oh my gosh, I'm really exhausted, but I still have to work 8 hours. What do I do with that?
Well, what's really important is that you're able to identify it, and identify it so that when you're walking through the day, you're aware that you're carrying that with you. So if you're noticing tension in your chest or your abdomen, or you feel angry or some sadness or joy or excitement, sometimes that's a wonderful feeling to feel in our body. What feelings do we want to just notice and carry with us, and simply notice that? So for example, I've worked with kids that I've done mindfulness relaxation sessions with them, and they'll say, I'm really angry today. I feel it in my shoulders. My neck is really tense. And what we discover is, what do you have to do to take care of yourself for the rest of the day? Because you know you're carrying that. And what's really exciting is then you can become aware when that feeling dissipates or stays with you.
You know, in terms of our topic of wellness, that it really resonates what you're saying. It really resonates with me, because I think sometimes when we're working with kids or teenagers, or even, as individual adults, we look at the challenges and the conflicts that we have in life as things we need to just get rid of.
Yeah.
Like, if I could just push that away. I don't want to deal with that. I'm just going to pretend I don't have to deal with that. And really what you're talking about is, when you're noticing that you're carrying that anger, sometimes we can't do anything about the thing that's making us angry. And we really have a good reason to be angry. There's no judgment around being angry or not being angry. It's, what are you going to do with that anger? Are you going to, swear in the schoolyard at another child? Are you going to be disrespectful to a colleague? Are you going to be rude to your partner?
And that's the wellness piece, Theresa.
Well, that's the wellness piece. So I want to circle back to that.
And when you're aware, then you can make a conscious decision of how you want to carry that through for your day. So what you've brought up is also a lot of research that's been done.
Let's
so
talk about that.
What's really exciting.
For the person, I have to stop you, because the person at home that's watching and hearing you say things like, notice, no judgment,
I've been there.
sounds a little hokey, honey. Like,
I
where's
can
the
hear
research
that.
with this?
It's not unusual that I've had clients say this. So I've had the privilege to do mindfulness with people who are diagnosed with cancer right now.
Right.
And one of the things, the research shows this, is that they're able to deal with their cancer, they're able to go through chemo more effectively. And there's lots of research, which is really exciting, on the brain and how they're able to alter the brain with as minimal as 10 to 15 minutes of mindfulness meditation. And I've worked with sports groups, teams in organizations. There have been proven 15 minutes before team productivity and agenda items and team cohesiveness has increased. We now in Toronto, which is really exciting, are integrating mindfulness in elementary schools. So some schools are closing down the whole function of educational piece and doing 10 to 20 minutes of mindfulness. Everybody in the school, which is really exciting. And Goldie Hawn's, as many of you know, she's developing mindfulness schools all over the West Coast.
Okay, I didn't know about that. I knew in our own community,
exciting.
Agnes Taylor Public School in Brampton,
Wow.
you know, they integrated last year yoga for the whole school, and they do a mindfulness breathing activity in the morning, and everyone engages in that.
That's
and then,
great.
But also they've added it in after lunch recess.
Yes.
So it's those transition times when they're going, you know, from outside spaces to inside spaces. And it's unfortunate they didn't do any formal research, but I bet that they would have a decrease in suspensions.
Well, what the research is showing is better grades, less aggression in the schoolyards, less suspensions, and better cohesiveness in the classroom. And teachers are reporting that their behaviors in the classroom have decreased with mindfulness, and they're able to use it throughout the day, which is really exciting, because what excites me about that is you're actually giving children a life skill that they can carry with them as they go through their lifespan on how to cope or be present or allow themselves to feel without shame or negativity, which is a life skill we wish we could all have part of our life.
Yeah, and it really speaks to, you know, not having a focus on mental illness, that we have, you know, a very medical model diagnosis that you have to get treatment for, or, you know, you want to eradicate from your life, but instead embracing that, we may have a mental illness, and we may be dealing with depression, and one of the interventions may be psychotropic, and that we're required to have medication, but it's not the only intervention. And this is something, when you talk about mindfulness, thank you so much for leading our home guests and us in the studio in that activity. But there are other mindfulness kind of phrases we can cue ourselves with when we don't have time to do a body scan or a 5 minute of an experience. What might be something we could ask ourselves?
One of the things I say to myself is, where am I in this moment? What's happening for me in this moment? And sometimes I even just sitting here, let you answer this. When you did your mindfulness, did you notice the chair underneath your bum and your legs and your hands where they were?
We can't say that word on television. No, I'm kidding. No, yes, I did. I noticed it, and I was really aware of the floor. And to be quite honest, I was really feeling quite appreciative that we have this beautiful studio to do this show in. So as we close our segment today, we're going to be leaving our audience in just a few minutes. I would like to ask, so if I'm an audience member and I think, you know what, this is something I want to incorporate in my life, how can I access those resources where I live? What would you say?
Well, the first thing I would say is look up, you Google in your community centers, hospitals. There's practitioners now. You can reach me. I'm interested in doing corporate mindfulness, where I'll come to your agencies or corporations and do it with team building and that sort of stuff. I also facilitate mindfulness groups. You can reach me at mary.ventrella123@gmail.ca. And just Google, talk to your practitioners, talk to your doctors, look at your community centers. There's usually...
And advocate in your schools,
advocating in your schools.
We need to be advocating. Look for articles in the newspaper, take it into your school and say, hey, how can we get these programs into our environments?
Places of faith. I think for some people it's really important. Prayer, that's also really important as part of their hope and healing. But if I was to say one thing to take away from today, is that mindfulness does not have to be done in a 1-hour session. It could be done throughout the day. And if we teach children and young adults and even seniors to have the opportunity to take moments throughout their day to be more mindful. When you're eating a beautiful strawberry, or you're eating a great sundae, or when you're eating, mindfulness eating is a huge one. Take the time to enjoy the food, the people you're with, and your own company. And that does not have to be done in a long span on a mat, wherever you are, and that's what's exciting about it.
And for someone in our audience who may be dealing with lots of yucky things in their life, maybe they have that cancer diagnosis, maybe their partner's just left them, maybe they've just lost their job. Sometimes it's really important to just find that one moment in the day where you can be grateful that I have this cup of coffee. I'm sitting here with someone I care about. We're going to spend time together. Wow. Well, thank you, Dr. Ventrella. It's been a real privilege having you in the studio.
Thank you.
Our guests, I want to kind of give you some advance notice that Dr. Ventrella is going to come back in another segment of Health Matters Changing Steps, and we're going to talk about the impact of creativity in wellness across the lifespan. So audience members, if you didn't get her email, there will be we'll have the information along the bottom of your screen so that you can access more information, or you can also contact me at www.changingsteps.ca and make inquiries, and I'll connect you up with folks. Okay, thank you so much for your time and for joining us today, and thank you, Dr. Mary. See you again. Take care.